Welcome to the second of 3 videos about our regathering opportunity to return to in-person worship in the sanctuary starting on April the 18th. My name is Matt Rich and I'm the senior pastor here at Unity Presbyterian Church. We're so excited to be able to share these protocols and opportunities with you as we seek to regather for in-person worship together. I'm out here in the conversation area outside the 2010 sanctuary because this is where you will come first when you're coming to in-person worship. I'm wearing my mask just as a reminder that masks are going to be required for all of us as we're here for gathered together for worship. I'm going to take it off just so you might hear me a little better. But remember, masks are going to be required. Everyone 4 years old and older will be wearing masks for worship when they come here to worship in the sanctuary. Once again, you're going to come first here to the gathering area, the conversation area outside the 2010 sanctuary. This is the only doors that will be open, so don't try to come to the choir, don't try to come to the preschool entrance, someplace else. You need to come here. This is where we're going to enter in together. You're going to have a chance to meet a few of the ushers and greeters. They'll be out here with you to just give you a few reminders. They're going to remind you about wearing that mask. They're going to remind you to maintain your 6 feet of distance as you're making your way into the sanctuary. Just going to make sure that you're feeling well and all those kind of things. We know that you're not going to come if you're not feeling well, but just in case, they might ask you a question or two about that, as that's so important as we seek to keep one another as safe as we can as we gather together for worship. You can see behind me there are 3 different entries into the narthex and into the sanctuary. We're going to try to keep our lines sort of fairly consistent so that if you are coming in on the right side, then you're going to end up sitting on the right side of the sanctuary. If you come in the center, you're going to end up sitting in the center of the sanctuary. If you are a parent bringing a child for nursery, we want you to try to come into the left side door, because that will, as we get inside, I'll show you, gives you the easiest and quickest access to get down to the nursery to drop off your child. Once again, everybody's coming here to this particular entrance, and my next stop, I'll go inside and we'll see what happens when we make our way inside the door. Your next stop is here at actually going into the doors. You'll be met here by a deacon or an usher. There'll be one at each of the 3 doorways. They'll have a clipboard with the registration list of all those who have pre-registered for worship. Once again, it's important that you do that so that we can be sure we have space with our good social distance in the sanctuary for everyone to be able to worship safely, as well as in the event that we would need to do some kind of contact tracing, if we have a positive case or something that would happen, we need to have everybody's contact information as well. So you've pre-registered, you've gathered in the conversation area, and then made your way to one of the 3 doors where you'll find an usher or deacon who will check you off and prepare you for entry then into the narthex. That's where we're headed next. Once you enter into the narthex, you can see that we have created these sort of 3 different corridors. They align with the 3 doors, both to the outside and then the 3 doors by which you might be able to enter into the sanctuary. There is hand sanitizer at each of the ends here, closest to the door. I encourage you to use that as you enter. And then toward the sanctuary itself, you can see a sign with a QR code. We're going to have limited bulletins available, and so we would really encourage you to either bring your cell phone or your tablet or something else so that you can scan that QR code, and that'll take you straight to the bulletin for Sunday. That way there's no transfer of materials from one to another, and you can have access to everything you need that way as well. So as you enter here into the sanctuary, you're going to, once again, maintain good social distance. We're going to try to encourage that 6 feet, of distance between you and the next person ahead. And gradually you're going to make your way up to the door that enters into the sanctuary itself. I want to pause here in the narthex just for another minute as we celebrate that we'll have children with us for worship when we return to in-person worship here in the sanctuary. It's an essential piece of who we are, that we might have those of all ages able to come and be a part of our worship life together here at Unity Presbyterian Church. If you pre-registered children for nursery care, 4 years old and younger, then you'll, again, remember to come in the left side door, which brings you to this part of the narthex, closest to the hallway, closest to the stairwell behind me, which will allow you to go downstairs to the preschool and nursery wing. We have wonderful protocols set up for our nursery care. They've been working great in the preschool throughout the year, and nursery care will be provided by paid staff members, not volunteers, during this Phase B protocol as we are returning to in-person worship. I hope that you'll, as parents, will find those protocols on the church website with all the rest of this information, as I think that'll make you feel better about bringing your children here together for worship. For children who are being dropped off for the nursery care, you'll go downstairs through these stairs here by the narthex. You'll make your way down this hallway, find the appropriate room for care for your child. Then you'll continue down the hall and come up the stairs at the other end of the hallway. That'll bring you then back down the hall up on the second floor here to the narthex so that you can be seated with your family. Children who are a little older, who are will be a part of the Children in Worship program, they'll just stay with their families. You can enter through any of the three doors and make your way into the sanctuary to be seated with the rest of your family whenever the appropriate time is for that. Again, we're excited that children and our nursery care will be provided so that we might have families and those of all ages who are here for worship each and every Sunday as we are able to regather in the sanctuary again. As we make our way into the sanctuary, we will be met again at those doors to the narthex by one of the ushers. Just remain there until one of the deacons or ushers comes to escort you into the sanctuary. We'll be seated in the sanctuary every other pew. And the idea is that we'll have family pods who will be seated at the opposite ends of that pew. So we'll have every other pew with people seated at the opposite ends of every pew. As you can guess, this is not an exact science. There are some pews that are shorter, some pews that are longer. The ushers and deacons are well prepared to try to seat folks so that we can, again, maintain our good social distance between those who might be seated in the same pew. That will give us a good sense of distance between those seated in front and behind, as well as those who might be seated beside us in the same pew together. So as you come, you'll come and sit down and find yourself in your pew and ready to worship God together. At the end of the service, once again, just like you were seated by one of the ushers or deacons, at the end of the service, one of them will come back and escort you out of the service as well. So just wait until someone comes and lets you know that it is time indeed for your row to be dismissed. The next video will share a little bit more about the content of the service itself and what you can expect as you come and are gathered together for worship.